name's Nina Berger. I am the Senior Career Services Manager at PreSales Academy. We are doing a series of interviews with our past graduates as well as volunteers, just to get more of the student and volunteer people experience stories out there around PreSales Academy. So I have an amazing guest with us today. His name is Niko Patrico. He was part of Cohort 11. I'll have him do a more formal introduction of him, but I'm so happy to have him here today to share a bit about his story for everyone. So, Niko, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Hello,
Just to
Nina.
kick it off, could you introduce yourself and just share a little bit about where you are and what was your career like before joining Free Sales Academy?
Yeah, so I'm actually out in Round Rock, which for most normal people means I'm out in Austin, Texas. So my life before Pre-Sales Academy, if you look at it in like a year before Pre-Sales Academy, I was actually preparing to go to law school. And so I was preparing to go to law school, and then I was in my first semester, and then I dropped out. And then I became an SDR. And so now we're at like 8 months before I start Pre-Sales Academy. And so I worked as an SDR for about 8 months before I started Pre-Sales Academy. So I had a little bit of exposure to tech sales, but I was really new and I didn't know where I was going.
Okay. Okay. No, yeah. I feel like I love when students are coming into the program being like, hey, I've had a little bit experience in tech sales. I want to continue to go further. Then to build off that question, what kind of really inspired you to pursue a career in pre-sales, but also what led you to discover Pre-Sales Academy?
So it's kind of like pre-sales and pre-sales academy kind of happened at the same time
Okay.
because I knew I didn't want to become an account executive where I was working. And so it was just kind of left me in this position like, do I want to become an account executive? Or what do I do if I'm not an account executive? Because the account executive at my company demoed also. And so
Gotcha.
like there was one solutions engineer, sales engineer at the entire company, but he more or less was just supporting people on various projects. And so I talked with one of my uncles, and he works in sales, and he was excuse me, I knew that he worked in sales at that point,
Mhm.
but I didn't know what he did. And in that conversation, he told me that he works and he with this solutions engineering team, and I asked him more about it, and he told me about this role outside of the account executive where you become a more like technical seller. And so like that was like what got me really excited about pre-sales. And I was like, this is the role that I want now because it's that more that like learning how to like be a finesse seller, learn how to technique and show the product towards value. And he introduced Pre-Sales Academy immediately as well and
Ah,
said, this is a good way to get your foot in the door if you want to try to make this transition as fast as possible. So the
gotcha.
story's kind of all in one.
No, no, that's so cool. I think what I love is when people in the profession find people who are looking to make a career change and they see that, hey, you have really good skills that would thrive in pre-sales. You should consider this pathway. Because I just feel like that, first of all, gives you reassurance that, hey, this is a real career, it's a real pathway, and it's something that someone else believes I can do, which kind of gives you a little bit of a confidence boost.
Exactly. Yeah. And it just really showed me that this was like an actual option. And that's what I needed. I needed that reassurance, especially coming from law school, where I was like, oh, this is a very like traditional path.
Mhm.
This isn't a new career that was found in the last 20 years, really, with
Yeah.
software. And so I needed that reassurance. And so having my uncle in the picture like was huge for me. And so that made me really confident. And that's how I discovered pre-sales in the role and then also the pre-sales academy itself.
Nice. I love that. Well, Nico, could you share for everyone what are you doing right now and a little bit about the company you work for?
Yeah, so I am actually a sales engineer right now. And that's crazy for me to say because I started Pre-Sales Academy back in October and it was a grind to get to this point where I was interviewing and then on top of that, going through all the different interviews and applications. So I am a sales engineer at a company called Litify, and we are a legal case management software company built off of Salesforce. And so I first was really exposed to Salesforce with the Pre-Sales Academy. And so like I can never thank you guys enough for like that foundation I was able to gain, because I've had to go super deep and I'm basically learning Salesforce from the inside out. And I'm learning how to shape their a client experience so then somebody in the legal profession can come into our platform
Mhm.
and manage their case from the beginning of the process to the end of the process and have a clear record of everything that they're stored. And one of the major gaps in the industry actually is there's no reporting. And so
Mm.
Salesforce is amazing at its reporting. And so the way that Litify stands out in this space is we have our own document management system. So I get hands-on with that. We have our own uh, reporting capabilities that were just built
Mhm.
off of Salesforce. And so just being able to dive into all that, and then with the focus of legal, it just loops in everything for me when it comes to like my background before I started in
Yeah.
sales, and then the experience that I gained at the pre-sales academy.
No, I love how you were able to find a product out there that just leverage a past passion of yours. Like you're like, hey, I didn't want to fully go through law school, but I do have interest in politics and legal. But I is there a product out there for me? And I feel like when you were able to kind of like focus in on that area, you were able to find some really cool products and some cool companies, and you've landed at a really cool one.
Great products, great companies, but the thing that makes it really amazing for me is it's great people also. And like
Aw.
I think that matters more than anything. And that was some of the things that I learned at Pre-Sales Academy. It's like your mentor is like one of the most important people that you could possibly have in your life. And my uncle being that person for me was huge, because I was able to call him at random points. Like
Aw.
we were talking every week at one point, and like there would be times I would text him like outside of that call. And I would be like, I would feel bad. He's like, no, hit me up whenever you want, like whenever you need, like I'm here to help you. And so I did. And him making himself available for me like that was huge. And so like Pre-Sales Academy and having that mentorship is huge with me moving my career forward. And honestly, like now I have that in my job as well. I have people that I love to work with, people that I
Aw.
can learn from as well, which is amazing.
I love hearing that. No, I just, for anyone making a career change, it's all about, okay, how am I getting some reskilling, but also how am I finding a community to support me along the way, who can give me the guidance, but also that confidence, because I feel like there's that strong element of imposter syndrome that can't
Oh
come
yeah.
into any job search process.
Yeah. I'll just echo that times 1,000. And it doesn't just end with the job search process. It's like then you get the job that you spent 2 months applying for, that
Yeah.
you may have applied for if you did a real thorough job, maybe 8 companies, but you spend maybe hundreds of hours in
Yeah.
preparation and reaching out to people and networking. And so you spent hundreds of hours in this application process, and now you have the job. And now you have the job. The
Yeah.
imposter syndrome lives there too. And so hard work is just the only way to get through it, I feel.
No, that's fair. I agree. It's like, okay, how do I get through this, maximize my learning, and just kind of build in that confidence because it comes
Yeah.
over time. And I see it time and time again with students. Like, there's a really big difference when a student lands a role and like they're a month in, they're like, Nina, I feel kind of shaky. And they're kind of maybe like 6 months in, they're like, wait, okay, I got this.
Yeah.
I'm finding my pace. I'm getting more confident. And I know that I have a good foundation coming in that I've been able to leverage and continue to build off of as well.
I agree. It's like once you start providing value to the team, that's when like you begin to really feel more confident in your role.
Nice, nice. I love hearing that. Then, Niko, I'm curious.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about kind of like pre-sales academy and you learning Salesforce through that experience and how that's helped in your current role. Has there been other specific ways that going through the pre-sales academy training has really helped you excel in your role?
I mean, yes, entirely, just because the way I kind of look at what Pre-Sales Academy gave me, I'm just kind of thinking. So just give me,
You're
the
good.
way I look at the what Pre-Sales Academy gave me is it gave me like this foundational strength, and so that is what's going to give you the choice. You can then take that and just use it, and it's going to just be at its base level, or you can use that and you can grow it.
Okay.
And so having that baseline strength, like taking that to the gym and going and working out with it, now your strength is greater. And so you guys gave me that like foundational like baseline that I was then able to build off of. And now I'm able to be effective in this role, because like I remember my first like internal demo
Mhm.
of Litify, like it was a feature done. And like I was able to bridge the gap to a more value
Good.
driven demo, because that wasn't the first time I was doing this. This is already familiar, but you do have to go through the growing pains. You got to do a
Yeah.
feature bump, a dump before you get to a value driven demo.
Yeah, especially when you're working with a new product, I find that like even like during the program when people are like first presenting Salesforce, it usually ends up being a feature
Yeah.
dump and like you kind of have to restart the cycle of, oh, I've made this mistake, but now I know which pathway forward and what I need to bring in to improve.
And most of the times, if there's a feature that you really want to show and you don't know how to show it and you don't show it, and you still think that the client will want to see it, a lot of times the client will ask for it anyway.
That's
And they'll
smart.
be like, hey, like, is this a possibility? Or they won't. And now it's not as important. And so you're going to learn how to phase that out of your talk track. Which
Exactly.
also, like, for the record, like, I have been demoing some in my role, but like I'm still like at the end of my ramp. Like I'm getting now
Mhm.
fully ramped. And so like I'm just now in the beginning of my demoing stages. And so like I've been demoing one of our newer products to our
Okay.
existing clientele. It's our AI tool. And so like that, like I'm talking about like bringing value to the team and you feel more confident. Like I say that because like I feel more confident in my role
Oh.
now at this team, because I'm bringing value, because I'm taking the AI demos and I'm doing like the most of them.
Aw, I love hearing that.
Yeah.
I feel like this kind of goes into a good question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've had a lot of wins, especially since graduating from this program. Do you have any moments that you're particularly proud of since graduating from Pre-Sales Academy that really stand out to you?
Okay, so this might sound kind of weird, but no,
Okay.
in a way, but
Oh,
yes, also. Like,
okay.
no, because like this is what I expected of myself. Like I wanted
Okay.
to get the opportunity to put in the work. I wanted the opportunity to go through and find that career. If given the career, I wanted the opportunity then to show that I can put in the work. So I feel like I did everything leading up to it, but looking back over the entire process, it's like, yeah, like I am really proud of the work that I
Oh,
put in, and I'm really happy. But it's like I try not to sit in that too much, because I'm still very early to this
yeah.
role. I still am very green, and I still have so much to learn.
Yeah, the
It's
pathway,
that
there's
white belt
still more to
mentality.
accomplish.
Exactly. So much more to accomplish, so much more to learn.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. No, I understand that perspective. It's like, hey, yes, I
Yeah.
recognize that everything in the past, like I'm happy about it. I'm really
Yeah.
proud about it, but my journey doesn't end here and I need to not settle. I need to keep on pushing forward because I want to become that fully fledged SE and kind of just get into that level of your role where you feel like, hey, I'm slowly becoming more of a master in this position.
Exactly.
Nice. No, very well said. Well, Niko, thank you so much for your time. I have one last question for you. Obviously, you've gone through this journey, there's been highs and lows. Do you have any advice for anyone wanting to make that shift from their current career into solutions focused roles or pre-sales?
First off, the one thing I would say is you can totally do it. Like if you really
Okay.
want to do it, you can totally do it. But it's just a matter of how badly do you want to do it. And so like for example, for me, like I was in sales already. So like that's like a little bit of an advantage for me. But either way, I had a full-time job. And then tacking on top of that, another full-time job of applying for more work. And
Yeah.
so, and it's not just applying for work. It's not just filling out applications. It's reaching out to people on LinkedIn. It's finding their emails. If however you can. Like I was lucky because and looking back, like I kind of giggle about this also at the same time. Like when I was an SDR, I was an SDR in my day job, and then I was an SDR in my night job of work hunting. And so I would use sales nav from work in my night hunt, so I would quickly be able to do the process. And so like I was lucky, but teachers, anybody, like you can totally do it. Just be prepared to commit to the
Yeah.
grind, and you can totally do it if you do.
That's an amazing piece of advice, and I agree. I think it's all about having that consistency over time, that persistence, because any job search process is going to have the highs and lows. The people who get to the finish line are being strategic, but also they are continually working at it. So that's an
I
amazing
reached out
note
to
to end on.
Litify in January. I got hired in May.
Yeah. Like, hey, you sometimes it's half the work is timing too.
Yeah, exactly.
Very well said. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today, Niko. Thank you for being part of this series highlighting students and our graduates, as well as our just general community here for Pre-Sales Academy's third birthday. It's just been a pleasure seeing you grow throughout the experience, but also hearing about how much fun and excitement you have around your position. So I can't wait to see what's next for you and how you kind of fully go in and start communicating more with clients and really showcasing the full spectrum of your product. So thank you again for being here. And thank you all for tuning in. And happy third birthday to Pre-Sales Academy.
Happy third birthday.
Bye, y'all.